I never had some sort of a big plan for my channel when I made it. It was just something I wanted to try for a long time, as I'm now over 30 and it's difficult to have a valid argument why I spend more time playing video games rather than go out on a date, and I have to admit I'm still having fun playing with myself. I'm still having fun playing video games. But I would never imagine that the most popular thing I would be probably known for in those 5 or so years I have been doing this would be for my Twilight fanfiction. I would tell you to probably stop sniffing glue, but here we are. Probably a month or more after the official 1.0 release of the game, as already a lot of people got the chance to do their take on this, and yet you were all patiently waiting for me because you get this weird satisfaction of watching me handle large amounts of different wood to build the worst looking Dracula castle, which would probably never be featured on NTV Cribs. On top of it, I have also shelled out money for the Castlevania nonsense, so this better be one pretty looking castle, and hopefully I will not need like additional 80 more recipe books for decorations, or I will be pissed. And oh my, it seems like they have added achievements. No way! I guess I can try to make this fun by trying to catch them all, and I'm referring also to the achievements as well as all the probable diseases I will be getting from snacking on blood from humans and creatures alike. Night 1. I woke up and ran through the initial graveyard getting reacquainted with the game's controls, and I got to say I'm loving the new UI. Every time I get back to this game, I'm just amazed at how much the devs have been able to do. I decided for the eastern section of the map, as I already had the location in my mind, and I headed into the woods to look for my first meal, and I was able to get 2 achievements just like that. But I'm thinking this is gonna be harder as the time goes by. Day 1 was actually more productive as I came across an archer with 29% blood, and I was able to reach the place upon which I will start to build my castle. I just have to figure out if they have finally added some strong sunscreen from bone dust, because I'm going to struggle otherwise. Night 2. So I finally started to gather resources and build up the base so I can start crafting more advanced supplies and gear, which is when I came across a terrible flaw in the whole concept. It came to me as I had again my hands full of wood. Are you ready to have your mind blown? So when a wooden stakes are used to kill vampires, and all I do is keep chopping down trees, what would happen if I would get a splinter? It's the same material, it's sharp, gets under the skin. How am I not a pile of dust? I decided maybe it's the right time to go hunting for something, and I was even able to find a moose. Night 3. I was still stuck not being able to track blood as I needed better gear. So I was testing my skills and I played with the undead assassin, who was too strong, but a bear or heck, even one of those big spiders I managed to deal with. Wow, the spider was able to trap me and somehow lay eggs in me as there were more of them. But I started to notice this new thing as if the level of the enemy was showing in gray, yellow, and red. Each enemy reacting differently to the attacks, as the gray and yellow were even staggered by the attack, not being able to fight back at times. I will need to investigate this further. Oh, and I also managed to kill a wolf with 80% blood type. Wait, I did what? Oh right, not your professional walkthrough channel. I forgot the name of my channel again. Day 3. Yeah, the stupidity continued as I led the Chaos Archer into my base, all while trying to gather some copper for the first weapon so I can unlock the damn blood tracking and start taking out the carriers and be the most powerful Edward I can be, so that Bella, or what's her name, would finally stop hanging with Jacob. Night 4, I finally tasted blood, the carrier blood, and because I'm so damn good, not only did I manage to find the wolf and transform into him so that I can trick Bella into thinking I'm Jacob, I was so close to the actual lumber camp, I was able to take down the foreman, and when I was just about to reach day 4, I was sucking the blood of the frost archer. Man, if I only did not have to travel everywhere and I can order these guys on Grubhub or something, it would go much faster. Now I need to get back to my base and see what I can do with all this new tech. Night 5. I have unlocked my favorite feature of the entire game, the research desk. My god, the amount of trouble this table has put me through during my first initial 200 days when I first picked up this game. But oh well. I ventured into the mines to get the next V carrier, and seriously, why are you putting 80% something minor into a group of soldiers? If you know anything about getting great blood carriers, is that they give you amazing buffs, and if you will try to mine all this copper after defeating the boss, I would get extra yield, which is now absolutely crucial because my castle heart needs to be upgraded and I need to start creating the dedicated crafting room to cut down on the construction cost of crafting. Also, whoever of the dev team decided to add this feature so that when you look over what is in your vampire and if it matches with what's in your storage chest, I love you so much for it, as it's gonna make this Twilight franchise that much more successful and easier to manage. Night 6, I decided to hang back and clear out more of my base for eventual expansion, as my next target was Goreswine the Ravager, and I wanted to have the crossbow ready for him. But I also wanted to upgrade my castle heart and thus actually start living like a vampire and get some of those early buffs and bonuses. Night 7 is going to be one of the most hilarious V-carrier encounters yet. So I was able to track down Goreswine, however, the damn puppy wanted to play too, making it a little more annoying. The crossbow was a great call, as thanks to it I was able to deal with the undead spells, and when I was done, the Chaos Archer walked in on me as I said screw it. I know I was joking back at the copper mines at them coming to me, but if they're actually going to serve themselves on a silver platter, I will sink my teeth in. Well, maybe not the silver platter because I'm allergic. I finished the night by getting to the camp with my next carrier, where I was able to feast on a 99% carrier. I think they have changed this because before the full release, you had to defeat a V carrier to have the power to tell who has what blood percentage. But I should be ready to deal with the next boss, now I just have to wait the day out. Night 8. Well, there goes my undying streak, but I guess it was bound to happen. And I was so proud of myself going away from the armor. He really needs to wash that beard. All I could taste was ale and some roasted meat. The issue started at the sulfur mines as per usual. It was the combined attacks with the sniper efficiency of the longbow archers, and despite having Ward of the Damned equipped, the fight kept taking me to the darnest places. Yet after reincarnation, I was shocked to see that my 99% assassin blood still remained. Alright, maybe it's because this is a normal difficulty? Should I have gone for the hard one? I mean, I don't know. But I know how to avenge myself, so I came back for round 2, and this time, thanks to not having so many friends around, I was able to kill the boss.
Someone smelled burning.
Day 8, I stayed at the mine getting some... Yeah, thanks Corey. Then I headed back home, and I barely made any dent into the distance I still need to travel. Night 9, I got back to my place and I started to put down more refining benches in order to upgrade the tools and the weapons that I already had access to. But I would rather go see the merchant in order to find out if I can purchase books from him in order to get the flooring for the workshop to start saving on production cost. Night 10, I did not really have a plan, so I decided to go raid bandit camps and try to gather supplies. I was considering going to the Forsaken Cemetery for the ingredients to summon a putrid rat, but I really hope that there will be a proper use for him this time, as I still remember the stupid toad in the Forsaken Forest, and all it did was piss me off that I cannot really use the frog form for just about anything. I also noticed a new hero, some sort of a fisherman. Seriously? What is the smell of fish that is going to kill me? Day 10, I was able to reach the cemetery and I decided, what the hell, let's try my luck. I mean, I hate being there without my iron sight, but I don't have options here, so I went in and I was able to take out a few skeletons. Still do not understand why undead units want to fight me when I'm undead myself. Maybe they are just not Twilight fans. Night 11. I was able to summon the rat, and thanks to the combination of spear and crossbow, it was quite easy to take it out. I was able to discover a brand new blueprint for Marauder's suit or vest, giving me better armor rating, and I have went to trade my coppers for an alchemy flooring book. Night 12. I was still being bottlenecked by the fact that I need to unlock the castle teleporter, but in order for it to work, I need to build up the castle and close off the walls and have an actual roof. So I had to keep waiting for the stone crushers to somehow refine raw stone into a form of brick. I know, it doesn't make any sense, but just go along with it. I was traveling across the woods, clearing out camps, gathering coarse thread and paper, when I came across a totally brand new thing, a caravan. Wow, this was so much fun. It was a little bit weird that the bull did not want to fight me, but inside of the caravan itself, I was able to come across quite a lot of nice things. Unfortunately, being the idiot that I am, I forgot to take the bag upgrade from the leather workbench, so I was not able to take everything. Day 12, I headed back to the castle as I'm going to have my first blood moon and I better do something productive with it. Not like these knuckleheads. Seriously, what is up with this wolf wanting to fight everyone? Night 13, I fought the fisherman. Man, that was one wacky experience. I still think the guy in the wine cellar is the wackiest one, and I know I'm jumping ahead, but what I'm trying to say is, go watch the other videos too. The fisherman was able to summon pufferfish and anglerfish and some sort of Gyarados or sea monster. I almost felt like battling some gym leader in some frozen gym with these many options. The rest of the night I spent traveling to the next victim until the crack of dawn when I got mixed up in another caravan and I unleashed the massacre. Day 13, I caught up with the caravan and I got to say the supplies that dropped were quite nice. I stumbled upon more merchants and somehow by killing all the guards around the caravan, I had enough copper coins to purchase the flooring for the forges. I mean, the guy had even armor pieces and everything, but with the forge flooring, my yield of ingots would dramatically increase, and just at the end of the day, I made it to the meadows. Night 14. I started crafting some vermin salves and I headed into battle. I really have to say that if you have pollen allergies, this will be most difficult battle. But I'm sure most of you have a box of tissues at your table for allergies. I really have to say that the crossbow is turning into quite the investment. I just wish I also had the longbow as I really want to try it out. But with the V carrier defeated, I have done something extremely masculine. I was collecting roses. What? Shut up! This place has like the highest concentration of them in one spot, and with so many blood rose seeds, I can start eventually my own agriculture thanks to the blueprint unlocked. Now to make it back home, but I have to say I'm not looking forward to the remaining bosses of the first act, as I have either the bear inside of the cave or the necromancer on top of the cemetery. And if I recall correctly, I need either explosives or a bear form to break into the walls and eventually unlock iron processing through defeating the final V carrier at the end of the first act. And even then I can still get screwed over, as in the last few updates they made it so that the iron sight, which is so great for the undead units, was unlocked separately by defeating the undead general in the iron mines. Man, I'm not sure what is waiting for me, but I'm telling you this. I'm starting to wonder just how in the hell do I activate this Castlevania DLC, because my wolf should be looking entirely different. Night 15, I was contemplating my options. Do I try to find my way up the cemetery, or do I go after Yogi? I decided to craft Merciless Copper Longbow and headed for the cave, knowing damn well I might end up as a part of the picnic basket he will be snacking on later. Day 15, well, I guess Yogi won't find out what's inside of the picnic basket. I know I'm as shocked as you are. It also seems like the longbow does not share the range with the crossbow, but it does have decent reload on its scattered shot, so the fight was surprisingly manageable. I know, I'm almost as shocked as well. Anyhow, I went back home and I can theoretically try to take out the bandit leader next and skip the necromancer, which means longer time to get the paper press. Night 16, I did more preparation as I knew I would need it, as I think I will really try to go after the bandit leader and unlock ironsmithing before I tackle the necromancer. I bought few books, as it now seems like you have access to few variations of armor sets, each giving you different sets of buffs, which gives you, the player, a nice replay value as you can experiment with different builds and see which one is more suitable for you. I then continued playing with the wood for the rest of the night to create more room for the eventual castle expansion. Night 17. Well, I was hoping that in that big camp I would be able to find at least one assassin, soldier, or whoever to boost my battle performance by sucking on him like a Capri Sun. And look, I'm also not crazy about the paper straws, but I was happy to find one of them with blood of above 70%. I was not sure if I would have enough time to fight the leader, but I fought through the top of the hill and battled the leader, and to my surprise the longbow was really nice. I even managed to deal with its minions. I however have to call BS on the achievement I got. It says I finished first act, but I did not actually do it. I literally skipped one of the V carriers.
Go ahead. It's what I would do. Taste of knowledge.
Night 18, I worked around the castle as I built my first workshop, reducing the amount of stone and wood in order to produce blanks and bricks. But the room is way too small, so my 2 crushers and 1 sawmill, and the room is full. On top of it, it's the entrance to the castle, so not really happy about it. But I got an achievement. Now, I was still contemplating going to the Dunley farmstead for iron, but when I tried Gloomrot, I'm not sure if I was able to actually mine iron ore before or after defeating the bandit leader himself. Day 18, I have done it. I ventured into Dunley Farmlands. Honestly, some of these achievements are just plain dumb, but here was I. Now, if my memory serves correctly, there was
Yet
an iron
another
deposit even outside of the Forsaken Mine, so I can try my mace on it. But unfortunately, of course, I could not find it, which meant I would need to actually head inside and risk encountering just about anything at this point, as without the iron weapons or better armor, I would be total toast with some garlic rubbed all over it. Night 19 is going to go hands down as the best and luckiest visit to the iron mines ever. And I mean that, because this is what, like my 4th video for Vrising 100 days in? I mean, I would make other things, but god damn, go watch some playthroughs or some other stuff on my channel. But I should not be complaining, I'm just doing what the analytics tell me that you keep watching. So anyhow, around the time when Gloomrot expansion was released, the skeletal general was changed and become an actual V carrier. This meant that the Sun Archer can possibly run into him just like I did during my entry to the mine, and I cannot believe it, but I found her, defeated. I did not have to do shit. Do you know how many times I had to return to these damn mines just for her specifically? I mean, karma is a bitch. So I left the mines with over 1,000 iron in my pocket, and I would have stayed a little bit longer, but I was running seriously low on blood, and if that happens, you start losing your HP pool till it gets to the bottom. This means that a mean look from someone can kill you. So off I went, with a plan to set up a forge room in the castle to process the iron at more efficient cost. Day 19 got me a little curious at the crack of dawn as I caught my first fish, for which at that time I got an achievement telling me that only 4.5% of all the players have caught a fish. I mean, how is that even possible? Dunley Studios gave out all these copies to YouTubers to make 100 days in a video game. Where's my copies, Dunley? But when I got home, the real work started, as I will need to rearrange my first crop harvest and build a forge to start processing all this raw iron. Night 20, the first milestone. I got to say, despite spending it at the castle, where depending on you thinking I did either something good by laying down the floor for the full available land, thus having foundation of the castle placed in, or bad by removing the natural respawning trees, rocks, copper, and other things, I might find forcing me to actually go out of this specific zone in order to forage for more resources. I still was able to expand my workshop and forge, and I started to get ready for the eventual forge construction, as I was hoping to venture back to the Dunley farm with like an iron crossbow to take out the skeletal general to get the iron sight. Night 21, I continued to work around the castle, and well, I had to venture out to get more stone for additional bricks, as I wanted my alchemy lab next. This would in return allow me to process blood and hearts better and give me access to potions at reduced cost. I managed to capture the first human to become a servant, but honestly, from my experience and seeing that I needed 40 minutes to turn him into a mindless drone, I wasn't really thinking that much about it. Now, servants were fun when you send them out for a raid to a specific location after you gear them up. But even that lasted for like 12 real-life hours, so you would actually in that time travel there and get back like twice. That is, if you get a horse. But at least I had my iron for the forge, so now I have to hope I will be able to afford at least one blueprint. Night 22. While making the iron sword and crossbow was a good call. I'm actually glad I did not go for the longbow, as the necromancer just loved to be as far as possible and summon skeletons, and using melee attack like sword is a no-no. I damn nearly died when I did that spinning move, so over time chipping away I took him out finally. Therefore, technically speaking, I finished the first act during day 22, but what do you want from a vampire who does not pass on level 50 fallen archer in the iron mines? I was so glad I came here, and now I can maybe make better rings to enhance my spell powers. Night 23, I constructed my 2 paper presses, and I discovered that I need a library flooring to make it actually work. But when I ventured to the first merchant, he did not have a said book, so I went to the other camp, killing literally anything that got in my way, getting few books and paper pages of my own. I discovered that unfortunately the other merchant did not have the library flooring either, and then I saw Beaumont roaming near, so take a look at him, kids, because I'm not fighting him in this outfit. I also realized I forgot to take my iron mace with me, so I'm still living up to the name of the channel. Night 24, I decided to go after Beatrice. After all, getting access to processing cotton and other fabric would be quite helpful. Problem was, just getting to the village itself is a little tricky. On top of it, the vampire hunters can be roaming the streets or the roads, and I was wondering if, since the woodlands now offer a caravan, if there's like a fancier version of this in the Farmlands. Anyhow, I managed to catch up to Beatrice finally, because, well, she tends to skip gym day in general, and I hopped on a brand new horse, which I guess is another bloody achievement. Kind of like the village. An absolutely terrible guess. and nobody even bothered to invite me inside of their house. You know, because based on the old lore, you had to invite a vampire inside. Go look it up. Day 24, I decided to stay in the farmlands and go to the iron mines, but my big problem was that venturing inside with the 87% blood that was starting to run low would not last me for too long. So I had to kill a wolf which had only like 27% blood, and I know it's a wolf, it will not boost the yield of iron I can get, and also it's quite the downgrade. However, at least I was having fun because I found out I need to feed my horse. So in case my blood bank will fail and my horse would die from starvation, I can turn him into IKEA meatballs. Night 25 was another technical milestone, as I was already 1/4 into telling you about my Twilight fanfiction. And so far it had its ups and downs, and I had to beat around the bushes to handle a lot of wood or get stoned. But when I got into the iron mines, thanks to the clever use of the crossbow, I was able to clear out the skeletons and get a lot of iron, but that was not enough for me. I wanted that iron sight, and so I decided to go after the general, and our battle began, and boy, it was a tricky one. So the bigger problem were actually the summoned skeletons that were helping him, as both he and I were using the word of the damned, but somehow when Day 25 started when I was able to defeat him and chip one of my fangs. Seriously, can't you moisturize? He tasted like your 2-day-old underwear smells. You know, when you did not do the laundry, so you put them on by the one side and the next day you flip them around to put in those extra few miles. Well, maybe that's just me, but then again, I have to record and edit all of this, so don't judge me. The plan, however, went out of the window as I exited the mines and saw Belmont with Jade the vampire hunter walking by. At that moment, I knew I would have to go commando because there is no saving the pair I had on right now. I also somehow forgot to say that the Skeletal General gave me the tailor shop flooring book when I was telling you all about my undies. Night 26, I spent recalling at my castle how to take down Maya. You see, she's one of the V-carriers added during the Gloomrot expansion, and she was a tricky boss because I had never had to use the axes to take out someone. But yeah, I made the scythe and the axe and some healing salves in preparation what might be an ass whooping I'm about to get. Or maybe I'm going to get schooled. Vote in the comment section which one sounds better. Night 27 was one of those nights when things do not go your way until they maybe do. Well, you almost die a few times. So I was looking for Vincent, the Frostbringer, and his ice shield might help me to deal with Beatrice along with the iron axes. But when I was going through the farmlands, of course, the Garling was messing with my navigation, and so I finally found him exiting a fort, got shot while trying to turn around on my vehicle with 1 horsepower, and in all the chaos that followed, I lost him. But I found Christina, the Sun Priestess, and man, do I have a talent for terrible spots to fight at. I mean, it took me 3 re-engagements almost to finally start making dent in her HP pool, as she really likes to hide amongst the local militia, which was not fun at all. But I was able to finally bite down on her neck and completely losing Vincent in the process.
This is my conviction. Is this my reward?
Day 27. Well, I knew this shit is going to happen eventually, so I guess I will need to use older footage. This is why I hate that single player does not have actual pause button. I have to constantly disconnect and reconnect to the server, and each time I launch the recording. So anyhow, I decided to forget launching the recording, and I was fighting Vincent in a really stupid spot and during the day. Normally he never causes me problems, but he damn nearly got me. And it was at that moment when I was finishing him off when I looked over at OBS and I saw that it was not recording. Great. Night 28, we managed to reach the library, and equipped with the axes, I have done something which you never should with a librarian. Talk out loud. And yeah, I also broke her desk, but by unleashing my ultimate ability and using the axe to chop down the crawling black goo upper bodies, I was able to get her health down quite quickly. Like, really fast. Like, god damn! And to think of it, I would try to use the scythe or a crossbow, I would be totally screwed because then she would be able to keep recovering her HP. Yeah, the first time I was fighting her, it was really going really bad. So I have to say, I'm wondering if I should have gone for a hard setting, but trust me, on your first playthrough, you cannot rely on the luck and stupidity of a person like me, as I have over 120 hours in this game already. Now, if they would only kept the day-night counter so I don't have to keep track with my 11 fingers. But I decided before returning home to raid one of the cotton farms, and I came across a golden chest, so I was really happy. Day 28, I went back and came across Tristan, but unfortunately having the garlic effect still linger, I did not dare to engage him, especially with all the loot. So I went back to the castle in hopes to make minor garlic resistance potion and then try my luck against him during the next blood moon. Night 29, blood moon. I know, right? Should it not be like every 12 to 14 days? This is a little weird. I promise I did not mess up the math. I think. But anyhow, with Tristan being on the menu and me having that little extra time, I thought, oh, you know what, let's build the study and unlock more recipes. And normally I would be fine with it, but this was not my first almost completely wasted blood moon. So I somehow managed to make the study, create enhanced crossbow as I ventured out of my castle, and a freaking caravan was there. I mean, I thought you are kidding me. But I kept focus on my target and I found him on this awkward rope bridge and our battle started. And yeah, it was messy, but again, the word of the damned saved my ass, and at the end of the night, I was able to taste the super rare vampire hunter and unlock the ability to tell me what blood type and what percentage each of the NPCs around me has, and I will tell you, this skill is quite crucial.
I won't be the last one to come for you.
Night 30. So because I completely ran out of copper ingots, I had to go fetch more, so I decided to teleport behind the mines and travel there on my trusty stolen steed, when I discovered my first 100% poacher. So my plans went totally out of the window, as instead of killing everyone, I possessed him, and thank God for Stunlock's amazing work with the AI, which was not completely brain dead, and I tried to go through the lumber mill, but Tristan showed up, so yeah, I had to take the poacher around it, and he got almost killed by a bunch of archers and a bear, but man, when I put him in that cage, I was so happy. I also got an achievement too. Now to go find a fat gobby to fatten him up, as I did mistake like that before when I did not recover the HP of a 100% prisoner in my blood bank, and that killed him. And trust me, losing a 100% blood donor sucks far more than forgetting to hit the record button. Night 31. So I was finally able to make it to the mines, and unfortunately the miners did not have a high blood concentration, but I was still able to get a 90% blood donor and even saw 70-something% the poacher as well. I do not recall the game being this generous with high blood concentrations and woodlands before. Night 32. Well, it's official. I really do believe I'm running on Idiot Savant perk. It just usually kicks in a way that only the first part of it, the idiot, manifests itself. So I selected my next V-carrier victim, and I had a rough idea of where she is. So I went to the cemetery, and I got killed, because yeah, I'm an idiot. So I lost some precious time, and when I was done killing everything in my way, I had no idea if the top of the mountain where she is under the shade or if there's like a daylight, so I did not know if I would have to wait. Day 32 was again approved that the Savant part of the perk got triggered, for not only was I victorious on top of the hill, which was covered in shadows, but also, most importantly, I damn nearly got myself killed again. Those shadow assassins of hers really packed mean punch, so I got lucky, and I do believe it was mostly thanks to the 100% blood. Now I also came across 10 silver coins here, so now I need to transfer this small loot to base because I need 6 silvers in order to make a pouch that will make me resistant to carrying up to like 200 silver coins and also expand my inventory. I really got to say so far, I'm loving the way they reworked the backpacks, as when Gloomrot was released and you were given all these different backpacks, your inventory was a total mess. Night 33. Man, I really do not like spending my nights like this, but when you have no choice, you gotta suck it up and travel back home and get that backpack upgrade. I also was able to put down the looms and start processing all sorts of fabrics and make the jewelry machine. Unfortunately, I will still need to go visit a few more people in order to craft more cool things. But I was considering, since I already make a glass bottle to catch the blood into, but I cannot process raw quartz into glass itself, the glass blower would be a good target to focus on next. But what would be even better is spending maybe a night or two by raiding the villages and collecting scrolls, because they are key to getting better armor and weapons. But considering I need like 75 of them per recipe and crafting them is a pain in my undead behind, which has to already suffer either by riding on top of the horse or being bit by the fleas when I transform into Jacob, maybe getting some better armor would help. Maybe it has some ass cushioning or something, I don't know. I do wonder if they kept the ridiculous pink armor from when Gloomrot was launched. Night 34, I decided to unleash chaos and destruction on the local fish population. As you see, my prisoner was becoming quite miserable, and so I wanted to keep him happy while I was draining him. I ventured to the spot where the fisherman bee carrier is, and I was able to get quite a nice haul. On the way back, I stopped by a camp that has a golden chest, so technically my prisoner will be well fed and I can go play with the Dunley farms next, and I should also consider garlic resistance potion. Night 35, the preparations unfortunately were not over, as I realized I can make the tailoring bench, and with it I was able to make 2 pieces of the Hollow Fang armor set and better cloak. I discovered that the a la carte clothes have only cosmetic effects, so I won't be recommending those to be used during combat. Night 36, I got to the quartz quarry and I found my V-carrier inside of this glass blowing house. I know, there are a lot of things with the word blow in the quartz mine. I get it. Unfortunately, the white dust on the floor was from glassworks, so when I tried to pretend to be Pablo Escobar and I sniffed on the line of it, yeah, there was blood everywhere. But when I defeated the V-carrier, I headed into the mines and I was only able to gather 859 quartz out of the whole place, which compared to like the copper or iron mine is laughable. Now I just need to stop at some farm, drink my garlic resistance, and try to get more cotton to finish the overall Hollow Fang armor set. Day 36, I was looking for Bane so I can start transforming myself into human form in order to infiltrate the marketplace and find out what are the prices for, let's say, a cotton seed. You know, during the actual early access, when there were no 3 types of coins, just 1 type, you had to shell out ridiculous amounts of cheddar for this special plant you needed that usually grew only in the Silverlight hills. But anyhow, as Bane is quite tricky, thanks to the disguise he is wearing, I knew I needed a good place to engage him, away from the road, so that the militia won't try to join in on the fun, and I think I found the spot. Now I just have to make sure I won't get myself killed. Night 37. I did it. I engaged Bane and draw him into this forest, which has a potential for a base, but I like my castle on an elevated place. Anyhow, I swear this knucklehead gave me much more trouble before. I'm starting to think the 100% blood is helping a crazy lot. I was able to deal with him despite him transforming into groups of killed skeletons twice, and afterwards I drank that garlic resistance potion and headed for a couple of cotton farms. Kind of funny that the sunflower farm was the only one with 0 garlic in it. I finished the night by massacring a lot of militia by the time I was reaching the 3rd cotton farm.
This is the eternal night. Death won't stop me.
Night 38. I had to process it all. The cotton, upgrading my Scourgestone pendant into its better form, processing the glass, and extracting more blood from my captive. All while trying to figure out where to go for a big chunk of scrolls, as I thought the 2 villages in Farmlands are a great location for something like that, thanks to the high population of militia and houses with storage shelves. As even if I would come across books which I have already unlocked, I can scrap them into scrolls, giving me 15 scrolls per book. Oh yeah, and I finished the armor set, giving my old sweatpants to one of my minions, for which I got an achievement as well apparently. Day 38, I decided to go after the Frost Terror, as it would allow me to process thick hide which I needed to upgrade the Hollow Fang armor set. So I ventured into the icy region, getting an achievement just for showing up. Night 39, I drank my blood and I started to fight the Frost Terror, and I gotta say again, disappointed! The fight, despite me screwing up constantly, lasted for a very little time, so for the rest of the night I was hunting the local creatures with the thick hide, and I was also playing with the local trees because the hollow wood, when you actually process it, gives you fish oil. And then again I went fishing just so that I have more of the resource to process all this fur. Night 40, I went after my favorite geomancer. I have to say I never really struggled with her, as once you know that the small golems cast a shield on her, making her impervious to your attacks, and you go at her with the mace because she is stoned so high, the job went quite well. I just always chip a fang when I bite into her neck because she is such a tasty carrier, and I always forget to wipe her neck from all the rocks and pebbles. Day 40 was fun because I was able to infiltrate the market in the Farmlands. Chills, however, ran up my spine when I saw the terrible prices, all in silver. I mean, cottonseed, 48 silver coins? No thank you, I rather kill and pillage for it. The books were calling my name, but yet again, with those prices, I also came across a 100% brute blood carrier, but unfortunately, as I had zero idea as to how I would make that guy follow me all the way back to my castle from the Farmlands, I decided to feast on him. Now that I think about it, when I will eventually relocate my castle to the second location, can I transfer the prisoners? Night 41, I slaughtered my way to the top of the village towards the monastery. It's kind of fun to think how most of the people still drop tainted hearts. Almost made me look like a saint. Well, maybe that is not the right word to use considering what I have done inside the small church, but yeah. I left the Dunley farmlands and headed back to my castle, as I realized by checking something I would be able to have prison cells ready for 100% blood donors, and I can teleport them to them without them having to follow me half across Narnia and parts of Mordor to become members of my blood bank. A bank which I damn nearly became a member of because I again ran into Belmont. I seriously need to upgrade my toys to find out how good he is. Night 42, I was working around the castle in order to prep for things, as I realized I was more focused around the actual V-carrier list compared to the task to help me boost the performance of the castle and the minions themselves. And as I was organizing everything, I of course found out that I ran out of iron and other materials. Night 43 was proof that me doing this on the medium was the right call. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are achievements for brutal difficulty, but screw that. It's going to be a miracle for when I will be publishing this. Anyhow, as I had the blood moon, I was optimistically thinking I will manage to kill 2 V-carriers during this one night, but boy was I wrong, because when I reached the new region for which I got an achievement, and I finally found the Frost Crossbow General, or what is she, along with all the best hits from Netflix Castlevania animated series, you know, the good ones with Belmont himself, not that last thing about those black gay things. God, this makes me really happy that I actually pirate most. Anyhow, as I was saying, it was a tough fight. She kept going on this pillar, which was a bitch to deal with, but eventually I succeeded, and I also depleted like all of my potions.
I
failed you, Master.
Day 43, I tried to stay a little longer at the camp, but holy Moses, all these things are deadly as hell. They kept respawning at such rate I could barely keep up as I almost died. I discovered some brand new flour, and I decided to head back to the castle and try to work on more castle and gear preparations. Night 44, after more boring prep work, I made it to the iron mines where I will spend some time, which I hopefully can follow by doing some cotton farming. I did not want to do it in reverse because then I would have the garlic debuff, and yeah, that's not a good idea going into the mines like that. And afterwards, I'm starting to actually consider relocating my castle finally. Day 44, I took out Meredith, so you guys won't tell me in the comments that that's such a cheesy way to take out a V-carrier. It's not fair, you should fight her or something like this, or I'm a total pussy for not fighting her in the mines. So here it goes, I was able to defeat her, so you cannot complain there's lack of action in this video.
I failed you.
Night 45, I knew I had to finally get out of the mines, as thanks to the Cross Terror's backpack and so many extra storage slots, I was able to haul an impressive amount of iron, grave dust, and bones. But when I saw Meredith respawn, I knew it was time. And so in my typical fashion, when I left the mines, I came across a 100% blood donor, but instead of capturing him, let's say, I accidentally killed him. We both know it's BS, but I mean, you're the one who's still watching, so you're the weird one. That's right, I still love you despite that. Night 46, I finally tried the castle relocation. I chose a spot close to the marketplace and few farms along with also the iron cave, which was added during the Gloomrot expansion, and I started to put down the flooring and place everything on top of each other, making it feel like an organized chaos as things started to travel from Castle A to Castle B. Now to just organize all of this. Yay. Night 47, I was working on creating rooms because I realized I lost some yield as the processing and crafting of the workshops like sawmill, forges, etc. were still going on with the inventory inside. And at first I was thinking I'm building the rooms too big, but then realizing that some of the V-carriers give you advanced crafting workbenches, maybe it's a good idea to make the rooms bigger after all. Day 47, I got the achievement for building staircase, but I was too stupid to figure out how to rotate them, and whenever I put them down I had to destroy all the adjacent walls and pillars so that I can try to put them down once more. Once I actually figured out how to rotate them properly, I was able to start relocating my gardening to the upper floor, as I also wanted to create some sort of library and private quarters on the upper floor itself. Night 48, I was still busy with the gardening, but I eventually had to leave the castle because I ran out of blood. So I had to feast on the sheep, and I was a little bit mad that I have to leave the castle, but it needed to be done. And if I want to start growing more crops and recruit more minions, I will have to actually leave my castle. Day 48, I decided to try and recruit some of the units, thinking, oh well, it doesn't matter really what type of blood percentage they have, I will just give them the gear and that will take care of most of it. But when I saw the actual bonus, when I was considering converting one of the minions into a mindless drone, it would be quite inefficient. So this made me realize that even my first minion is absolutely useless, and I will have to start looking for high blood concentration knuckleheads to turn into minions, and I have to start all over again. Night 49, I was able to make the Holy Resistance Potion. Barely. Damn it. I'm used to small castle, and now I have this maze which I'm getting lost in. So by the time I made it to the monastery, it was crack of dawn when I was killing the final two fanatics inside, getting ready for my next boss fight. Day 49. I battled with the shepherd inside the monastery. I always think that through the glass windows I should still burn, but yeah, I was burning from the holy flames of his attacks, but knowing him well and sticking to the ranged attacks with the crossbow, I knew I would have easy time. If you want to challenge yourself, try the scythe. He tends to be static, but I would not recommend close range attacks against him. I was also disappointed with the variety of blood donors around, as nobody seems to be good enough for a next minion. Night 50, I was able to get 1 over 60% fanatic at the Monastery, which I transferred using the magical glowing rock, and then I went off to fight Jade. At this way, I can get the pistols, and from my experience in Gloomrot, the pistols were super useful there. Now I just need crap ton of scrolls to unlock all the things I do not have. At least she was so nice to be right by the castle, so I did not have to go too far.
Good. Shoot.
Night 51, I decided to go to the village, forgetting to take my new pistols with me. But oh well, it's not your professional walkthrough, so what do you expect? If you're still watching at this point, I'm surprised as much as you are. I was able to recruit 2 of those big fellas with blood over 70%, so they will make more minions for me. And now, in order to make it to the farms and steal their crops. I gotta say, however, a little disappointed with the super low amount of scrolls I was coming across. Night 52 was continuation of the cotton and sunflower farms. The unfortunate thing was that the best blood farmer had only 41%, and I was almost at the end of the raiding when I found her. So I tried to maximize the yield as much as I could before I headed home. Night 53, I worked on planting my seeds, and I'm still pissed that this one tree is growing through the walls of the castle. It just looks like a Bethesda game. I started turning the 2 veterans into my minions, and I also worked on crafting the Hollow Fang set armor for them, and also working on upgrading the iron axes so they can deal a lot more damage. I might need some rings or something too, but I need to focus on maybe next target, but still lack of scrolls is killing me. Day 53, I saw that I needed jeweler's flooring to be unlocked, so I can be processing the gems into all sorts of trinkets and baubles. But when I snuck to the marketplace and almost turned into ashes in front of the bookstore merchant, I was very unhappy to find out that he did not carry the flooring books. Night 54, I traveled to the Dunley village in the Farmlands, and I was able to get over 30 scrolls, but at this rate I'm going to be desperate for better gear. I swear I think they changed it so that it's easier to get paper in Farmlands, and in the Silverlight hills you are going to be finding scrolls left and right. Day 54, I traveled to Monastery village, killing a lot of militia along the way in hopes to find some more scrolls. That was not a really successful venture, but I at least managed to capture over 80% Blood Archer, who can become another minion. Maybe I will have him replace the original one, so that every minion has at least certain blood percentage. Night 55, I was wreaking havoc at Monastery village. I was even happy because the houses had a lot of chests in them, and one of them spawned the rare gold one. I came across the Sun Priestess, and she was so overwhelmed, I think in like 15 seconds she was gone. I cleared out even the chapel at top of the hill, and on my way down I found the priestess with like 95% or so blood, so I imprisoned her. Unfortunately, the 2 villages gave me only yield of 56 scrolls, which was not good for me. But at least upon my return, the 2 knuckleheads were ready to join the raiding, and so I gave them some fancy clothes and weapons. Night 56. Cassius the Betrayer, another new V-carrier added to the game upon its full release. It was an interesting fight as he apparently roams the region along with minions, so if you do not hurry, more can appear and ambush you. He utilized his interesting technique of throwing his sword somewhere, which protected him, so same as with the Geomancer. I had to damage the sword and then throw the sword itself onto him or into him in order to stun him and unleash barrage of attacks to damage him. The problem I have in this region is still the lack of understanding whether I'm fighting humans or beasts, as each class is more susceptible to different weapons. Animals to spear, undead to scythe, humans to sword and ranged weapons. Maybe they are undead beasts, so both groups could work. I really need to unlock the rest of the recipes. Night 57, I went to the Arctic woods to gather more hollow wood, and then upon the return, I decided to get rid of the fanatic from the monastery, and instead I converted 89% blood archer into a minion instead. Day 57, my first minion was back from his raid, and I decided to scrap him because looking over his overall stats, even with the decent armor set, it was just not looking good, and I would rather build a new minion from the ground up to make sure that they can actually run successful raids in the more advanced regions on my behalf and gather more resources. I didn't realize that the next night is gonna be Blood Moon, so I decided to select Octavian from the sampling menu, and I will have fun with him. Night 58. Holy crap. No, not the fact that I got almost killed by Octavian. I'm talking about the number of chests that were spawning in the fort during the Blood Moon. I came across 3 golden chests in this one spot alone, allowing me to gather 58 silver coins from this one location during one night. This would normally take me raiding a lot of villages in order to get done. And yeah, of course, the fight with the V-carrier was difficult, but the word of the damned was saving my ass, and sure, it might seem like I'm using the crossbow way too much for these fights, but if it's working, don't try and fix it.
We had a good run.
Night 59. I was gonna clean my room until I got high. I was gonna get up and find the broom, but then I got high. My castle is still messed up, and I don't know why. Because I got high, because I got high, because I got high. Yeah, despite eating the trippy mushroom, which is an achievement by itself, I still managed to go to the Gloomrot south and capture a 92% brute. Day 59, I was getting the feel for the Gloomrot region, and by that I mean I was battling the mutants and the steampunk cosplayers with the use of the pistols, and just as I remember, they do work quite well. I just wish I had the merciless upgrade on them, but I found the sulfur and copper mine and the factory, so I should be able to reach Zila if I avoid battling most of the factory employees, so I can end up in the HR department again. Night 60. Ziva, the master of weapons in early development. She has a Tesla gun, shotgun, flamethrower, and my favorite, Gatling gun, along with the orbital bombardment thanks to her jetpack. All those toys, and yet I was able to defeat her. I decided to change some of the spells, but especially if she uses the Gatling gun and shoots at you at rapid pace, your word of the damned is unable to keep up spawning skeletons fast enough. I started to clear out also some of the warehouses, and I came across like 30 scrolls in no time. Night 61. Rustlog Village is a great place to be. People are friendly and they grow some mutated pumpkins in their planters. They grow also big ass rats. I guess the rats ate the mutated pumpkins and they grew so big, and so people started to eat the rats. I'm not really sure. I hope they're not using them as cows for milk or something weird like that, but you never know. But most of all, in this village is our next V-carrier, who has quite a large range of attacks, and Domina can be quite tricky. When I fought her in the original Gloomrot expansion, I did struggle quite a lot, but being able to switch few spells and being able to dodge her kicks, I was able to send her to the HR. I then continued to pillage the village as I came across a stupid amount of silver coins, scrolls, and so many goodies, I kind of don't know if I even want to go back home. I will be definitely back for more. I also killed the mutated golem. That was fun. Night 62, I was processing all the goodies back at the castle. I was a little frustrated with myself as it took me an accidental scroll of the mouse wheel to find the fabricator so I can start making the damn sludge-filled canisters I needed for the alloy. I placed down the advanced grinders to make whatever I might need faster, and I expanded my garden. I actually started to wonder if the alchemy lab at the top floor would be a better choice, thanks to the plants being right by that, and I could craft the potions at faster pace this way. Night 63, as I was able to get my merciless scythe, I wanted to try it out, but I had to pace myself, and I snuck into the marketplace and I purchased few books. I still wanted to purchase the 200 silver coin Bearhead, but it was a little too much for me, And as the sales were to die for, I decided to kill everyone at the marketplace. Get it? I was hoping maybe by killing the merchant I get like a spare book or something, but unfortunately nothing like that happened. I went on a little rampage mixed in with some sprinkling of fishing as I needed to feed the prisoners. I was really glad I came across the merciless spear, as once I ventured into the Forsaken Woods, I will need to hunt down this one knucklehead who loves to run away, and the spear is a great way to pull him back in. Night 64, I got a little mixed up because my minions have returned from their raids, and so I had to process everything they brought over, and while I was clearing out all the goods, I realized I once again had 0 iron left, and despite having access to the Templar armor set and knowing that 3 targets are in Forsaken Woods, I would have to first stop at the mines, collect the ore, and get it processed. Day 64, I got a little annoyed as I tried to make my way inside the iron cave, but there was like 0 shadows for me to work with. On top of it, when I got inside, the place was littered with the little rock creatures. By some miracle, I managed to trigger just one of them, but the problem started when I placed down the TNT by the massive iron deposit, and when I detonated it, it just pushed the 2 rock creatures away from the deposit, but it did not break it down, so I had to go into the bear form in order to harvest the iron. Night 65, I had to do the mining manually, but I was able to get over 4,000 iron that night alone for smelting. And the one thing that was going through my mind while I was contemplating if I should take down the iron golem was, where in the hell can I get over 90% villager blood so I can start harvesting the resources at much higher rate? When I got back to the castle, I sent out my 2 minions again to pillage the village. Night 66, I made myself the whip. Seems like a fun addition to the overall weapon selection. I crafted the Crimson Templar gear with the longbow for the archer, and I sent him on to a fishing expedition, as apparently I will need to greatly increase the weapons and armor of my minions just to raid the farmlands. I then discovered that having explosives strapped to me when I want to fast travel using the teleporter is not going to work, so I have to travel the old-fashioned style on the back of my horse. Day 66, I reached the entrance to the mines, and I started to mess around with the whip, and I have to say it's a very fun weapon to use. The attacks are quite fast, and on top of it, if you combine your E ability, which seems to stun the enemy, and then you dash into them with the Q, you can spread them around with this whirlwind of whips or lashes, and yeah, it's a fun weapon. Night 67, I decided to change my strategy, and I went for the Pools of Rebirth because that boss fight cannot be done during the day. I went in all arrogant, thinking I'm a big boss, and I got knocked the fuck out, but at least it was a nice KO that did the job. I cannot believe I got myself killed, so I had to go for round 2, and this time I was a little more lucky as I switched my offensive spell, which led to eventually frying the Angram Purifier into Angram Deep Fryer.
Bring me back again.
Day 67, I got mad again as I went inside the mines and the explosives were once again useless. I even tried stacking 3 of them next to one another to break down these 2 big sulfur deposits, and it did not do shit. So I had to go into my teddy bear form, and even then I discovered a copper deposit so big I could not crack it. Night 68, I went back to the castle to process everything, and I was happy at least about having the library flooring unlocked, as now I can process the scrolls at cheaper rate. I captured another 90-something% crossbowman, and I started to expand my gardening and get my inventory sorted out. Night 69, I usually have some funny joke because, well, you know. Unfortunately, I was stuck at the castle playing with my ancestral forge, and I had to craft also the merciless spear for one of the dum-dums in the Forsaken Woods, where I will need to go next. So all this running around took me a lot of time to get done. Night 70. Because I reached most of the major regions with the exception of Silver Hills, I got actually 2 achievements. After this, I managed to track down Ben, barely. If you recall Beatrice, he also likes to run around, but he has far better cardio, and he runs through woods filled with beasts. So this is where the spear is quite handy, as you can pull him back in. Just be careful about the wisps, which he is able to spawn in, and they do not remind me of Warcraft 3 elf wisps, as they will root or stun you. By the time I was done with him, my map was not working due to the effect of the woods curse. This is where a little trick I picked up comes in handy. Track down Agora, the Spider Queen. You do not need to even go after her completely, just get to the entry of the cave where she lives. That is enough to reset the effect and be able to see the map and plan your way out of the Forsaken Woods. I, however, pushed inside the cave as I came across a lot of silkworms from the insides of the dead spiders, along with 2 golden chests. Day 70, I managed to make it to my favorite spider, and I used the scythe and the ward of the dam to take her down. I would definitely advise the use of these 2 weapons, as she tends to be quite static, and the summoned skeletons can help you a lot in order to take her out. And with that, she was killed, and now I have to spend the blood moon either hunting down the next thing or going back home. The problem is, I know where the next V carrier is, but getting the hell out of the woods without the bloody cloak is a total nightmare. Night 71. Being in the blood moon, I decided to stay in the Forsaken Woods and track down the next carrier, as this was a bad idea, of course. I got killed. You see, due to not having the cloak from Ben, it is quite easy for your field of view to be relatively small, and so you have to sacrifice that little extra protection from the cloak in order to see just what the hell is going on. Thankfully, one of the portals was closed, so I was able to find my target once again, and this time I was victorious. Barely. Day 71 just reminded me of how much I hate these woods, as trying to get back to the exit was a pain in my ass. Literally, I think I got bit by few things. But then when I came across some behemoth and Ben was right by it, I just knew that idiot is reminding me why I need that pesky cloak. Night 72, I started to notice something about Jacob fanbase in their dedicated village. It was tough to get through to them with the use of the weapons I had access to, which was making me nervous. And when I talked to the leader of the fan club, Wilfred, yeah, there was no getting through to him. He even attacked bypassers to feed himself and eventually got my ass handed to me. I think I will need few upgrades on my fanfiction to be able to withstand his barrage of criticism and attacks. Night 73, I came across a shocking realization, as when I popped into the game, it was 24 hours in real life later from the previous day when I was recording the footage, and my minions were back again. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but when I did my initial 200 days in Vrising and I sent out a minion during the first 100 days, it came back during the second video because it literally took 24 in-game hours for the raid to be done. So this theoretically means I can take much longer to do this recording and just every day send these donuts out to pillage. Well, maybe not here. Not here. The stats are not good here. 0% chance of survival here. Crap. I will need better gear again. Night 74, knowing that the servants are going to go out and fetch me supplies, I worked on getting them all the Crusader class armor, which allowed me to send all 4 of them on successful raids in the Dunley farmstead, from Iron Mines to the Mosswick village. This meant that I can prepare and head into the Rustlog village to pillage as much as I can, because I will need mutant grease for more pristine leather to finish my new armor set. Night 75, I had finally my Dawnguard armor set complete, along with major explosives and health potions, and so once again realizing I cannot really fast travel using the teleporter with C4 strapped to my horse, I had to travel to the Rustlog village on the back of my horse, and I successfully avoided Domina, and I was able to get 64 scrolls in this one location, along with tier 3 gem. Now sure, it's not for a spell I do not use, but screw it, I can equip it and free up space in my inventory. Why are the scrolls important, however? Well, I looked over the study and I counted 15 blueprints missing, which means I need 1,125 scrolls, which means I'm screwed. But I traveled to the mines where I was hoping to test out the new bombs and salvage few more supplies. Day 75, I made it into the copper and sulfur mines, and I do not know if I came across some tech presentation or something, but I had to fight like every drill bot on one floor almost all at one time. At least I tested the bombs and they seem to work on the copper. Now, how do I put these things in my bag, and why can't I swap the gem in the spell for the 3rd tier slot? What's going on? Night 76, I did screw around the mines a little more, and then I stopped at this one spot where the mutants were fighting as I wanted more grease from them. I was not thrilled about having to go back, but I needed to defeat Wilfred to get bigger backpack, and then I had to deal with Duke of Peloton because these YouTube commercials are just annoying, and if you can get him, I can print my own money and completely ruin the local economy with inflation by printing bunch of coins. Day 76, I was at the castle when I realized, yay, I have the shrooms, I have the weed, and I'm missing the pristine hide. Well, I technically had some left over, but it was not enough. So I decided to teleport to the frost region for some hollow wood and hopefully pristine hide. Night 77. I am a hypocrite. So here I go telling people that Google is not just for looking up boobies, and then I go and do not check and travel to the frost region where of course I do not get the hide I'm looking for. All I got is thick hide. This meant that I had to travel back to the castle, drop off all the valuable wood, which I had one full stack of because it takes forever to harvest this crap, and then I had to go to the Forsaken Woods where I was able to thankfully get the pristine hide I needed. Night 78. Oh my god, now I do really remember why I hate these woods so much. It was not even Duke who gave me trouble, it was the stupid frogs and that underground worm who managed to kill me. Not once, but twice. 2 times I died by these stupid toads. I swear to god, frog legs are on the menu, but this made me really mad. But at least Duke is finished, and now I have barely any reason to venture here, as I can summon silkworms at the castle. Now I need to deal with the Jacob's fan club leader. Hopefully this time I will have more luck. Day 78, I decided to play dirty at the Jacob fan convention because I started to take out the fans during the day when they are not in their real form, and this way I was able to actually capture one of them with 80% blood, which is so far the best worker I was able to find. And by clearing out the way, I'm making sure I can start the fight early as my armor took some damage thanks to the stupid frogs. Night 79, I was able to debate Wilfred about my new version of the Twilight fanfiction I was working on. Things got a little heated as again he released a bunch of knuckleheads to make it more difficult, but I was able to finish telling him my new version and he was so touched and moved by it. He was on his knees crying as I was finishing him off. Get it? Because he was on all four while I was sucking his blood? Yeah, I know you are all giggling. I tried my luck at the fort, but to my shock I only came across 2 chests, making it 1 pair, and it did not really pack anything decent in it. I guess that one blood moon when I went to fight the leader of the militia was a lucky day full of chests. Oh, and I found out that the Jacob fan club I was able to capture turns into werewolf at night, so maybe I will get 2 types of blood out of him, since I was unable to capture that deer with 100% blood, and this is the best I will be able to probably do. Night 80. Cyril the Cursed Smith. Man, I almost did not make it to the village as the behemoth was once again in my way. Did they replace Styx with this thing now roaming the Forsaken Woods? Anyhow, I managed to sneak into the village. Well, sneak is a bad way to say I killed few things that were annoying me, but I managed to fight the Cursed Smith, and I got to say, it's like some Mission Impossible trying to dodge all these ghastly apparitions in shapes of weapons. But I managed to defeat him, and thankfully this guy at least dropped a weapon that is not a stupid mace. Now you know it's still hilarious, however, that the dark silver weapons are more powerful than the ancestral weapons. Night 81. Taking another 24 hours for me to continue the recording, this meant that my minions were once again back with a lot of loot which I had to process. And as I was starting to get ready to venture into the final region, the Silverlight Hills, which is one of the deadliest locations where you can go into, where even the roaming military with their firearms accuracy can turn any vampire from a 2008 wallpaper into a pile of ashes. Night 82, I finally made it to the last region, Silverlight Hills. After I built an anvil and made some potions and did some prep work, and I found out that my minions are injured so I cannot send them raiding, I had the pristine leather bag made, but here is why I had to do the prep work. You see, when you look over the stats of the pristine leather bag, it shows resistance up to 400 silver coins. That is coins, not the raw ore. Raw silver still gives you the debuff, so be careful about this. But yeah, I managed to make it there to the mines. You cannot go through the front gates anymore. You have to sneak in by the side, and only when leaving you can fight Magnus. But I do suggest dropping the silver before. So since I had my potions and lotions and trinkets and shiny baubles, I was able to enter the mines and immediately started getting shot at. Think about hostile work conditions. Day 82, I continued to fight the slavers, and to my shock I found out, hey, I cannot put down explosives. I mean, what the actual twilight is going on? This is going to make gathering the silver such a pain in the ass. Speaking of, thankfully I made the potion of resistance as I had now more stacks of ore and the basic potion was not able to protect me anymore. Night 83, I went through the rest of the mines, and at the entrance there are now these captured slaves who are forced to mine silver. I guess they are bandits who were caught, and as a punishment, hard labor is the way to do it. So what you can do is release them, and this will cause Magnus to be distracted, so not all of his attacks, like this spear impale one, is focused on you. Well, maybe not on you, but I got impaled. And so, when I was able to defeat him with the use of the great sword, I then cleared out the rest of the barracks, and with the great pain I had to go fetch my horse and travel back home. I was regretting a little where my castle was, but knowing I cannot put the bombs away and use the portal at least if you travel there, I was not so pessimistic. Overall, I managed to bring 2024 silver ore to the castle, and who knows, maybe some will go to money printing. Day 83, I was not so happy because I found out that on the next night we have another blood moon. This meant that I should try to go either after the elemental mage, the carrier, or mother of all harpies, and they both fight in these stupid locations with open spaces where you cannot really rely on shade during the day. But I did not have spare lotions and potions, and I needed to start making dark silver. I was contemplating making also silver coins, but honestly I can just go and pillage locations and maybe I can even get sun coins, but I need to hurry as my crops are also ready for the harvest. Night 84. Let's all press F to pay respect to my fallen horse Chester. Unfortunately, as I was passing through the militia to reach the elemental mage, I just got hit with too many shots, torches, charges, and the horse took most of the damage while I ran away as the soldiers dug into the IKEA Swedish meatballs left over from my horse. But of course, it was not so easy as I had a crap ton of work back at the castle, and when I was not even sure where exactly she's located, so I kinda got him killed by my own stupidity. When I made it to the elemental mage, I was glad I picked up the dark silver crossbow. It made the job that much more manageable. The problem was, the whole time I was thinking, who was the dumb idiot who thought, hey, you know what, if silver can kill us, what if we make our most powerful weapons out of the material itself? Like seriously, what sort of LSD-laced blood were these guys drinking? Day 84, I managed to make it to the vineyard, and fun fact, if you start to try and harvest the sacred grapes, the damn harpies will show up. This is the strangest farmer-creature symbiosis in the entire game. Night 85. Well, I wish I can say that all my V-Blood fights are great success, but this one was not it. I decided to go after the harpy because at nighttime it's stupid to fight some sommelier in the basement of a house. So my cotton plan was to fight her at nighttime and then travel back to the vineyard during the day. But when I started to get my ass handed to me by the swarm of harpies, I knew I was in trouble. As especially without my healing potions and not having the exploding spiders equipped, the fight did not go well and I ended up dying. So I decided to respawn back at the castle to send the minions on a raid and craft more dark silver weapons. Of course, I found out I'm either out of Scourge Stone or the ghostly crystals in the dark woods, which I need to get more in order to process dark silver ingots. So I knew I would have to travel from Narnia to Middle Earth once again. 986. Okay, so it took some delay and me switching up my spells finally. I know, some different spells. Oh my god, he discovered them. I went in and with the use of sight, I was able to keep damaging the harpy while the exploding spiders did the damage to the other harpies which she kept summoning. So eventually I was able to defeat her and unlock new tech, and then I ventured back to the vineyard where once again, when harvesting the grapes, more harpies are summoned. But you know what, from my experience, it's not the worst thing ever, because having gem dust is what you always get when you kill them. Anyhow, I was collecting grapes from these big tanks where people have to step on the grapes to get the juice to be fermented into wine. And I'm thankful to whoever came up with the mechanical press for winemaking, because I'm quite sure if manicure and pedicure saloons would be around back during those times and someone would see your neighbor's wife who is using her feet to step onto the grapes, I think that would be inspiration enough to come up with whatever idea or solution just so she doesn't have to come anywhere close those damn grapes. Day 86. God damn barrels. I mean, the sommelier was far more annoying because the barrels themselves almost killed me and I had to reset the fight just to heal, and thankfully I found out that the queue on the site was enough to break the one, or I dashed through them, giving me some breathing room. But the air was heavy with the scent of booze, so even I was tipsy. But there he goes, another knucklehead down. Now the question is, what else will I manage to do for the rest of the nights I have left? 987. Who can kill 2 V carriers in one day and night cycle, but gets killed by a bunch of soldiers and has 2 thumbs up? This guy! So as I was leaving the vineyard, I saw a caravan after like 2 lunar cycles, and here the joke works actually. I saw one and I tried to attack it, but the stupid amount of units overwhelmed me so fast I died before I can realize how many bullets were fired in my general direction. So by the time I got back, the cart was gone, but at least I came across my second horse, and on the way to the castle, Belmont was kind of like reappearing for me on the screen. 988. As I was getting ready to leave my castle, I realized my prisoners were suffering quite a lot. Their despair was probably even higher than the person who's still watching this, but oh well, you made your choice. Now live with it. I went to the Forsaken Woods on a horseback, and I had the bombs, and I switched to the worker blood as I had made this blood Merlot. I immediately recognized its potential as I like doubled the yield of the ghost crystal. 989. I decided that after I was done clearing out that cave, I would go and visit the spider cave for the silkworms, so I do not have to farm them at the castle, which takes a little bit longer and also consumes the mutant roots. Night 90. I managed to make it to my castle along with some fishing, as I still needed to deal with my prisoners. While I started processing the 8 full stacks of ghost crystals, I made another ancestral weapon as I decided I can give it to one of my minions. And by the time I knew it, it was crack of dawn, but at least I have this fancy schmancy storage for the gems. Night 91. So this is where the game only truly began, as this was the first time ever I will be facing against the Doctor. I managed to make it to Gloomrot North, which is another achievement. I mean, this game is brilliant. Are you trying to tell me you would rather play as Assassin's Creed with black gay guy as a Japanese samurai? Day 91. I tried battling the Doctor and things were going well. Thanks to the stationary attack, that he was using, and I was able to keep chipping away from his HP pool. But things turned to dust when he started to create these waves, pushing me into the edge as I was getting fried against the current defense. So I died, and when I tried to respawn, I was killed by a local band with this heavy machine. Yeah, let's just say I know how people feel when Goku goes Kamehameha on them. So, second part of the day, and especially during 992, I got back to the good old doctor and I looked up a way to possibly deal with him, and I was surprised at what I was able to find, which might prove quite effective. Now, despite not having the great sword, when the doctor goes into his stationary attack to push you off into the electric fence, the great sword's abilities allow you to jump or stay above the ground, but I do not have a great sword, so instead I use the Chaos Magic Dash because that gives you 2 charges, so you can make bigger distance towards your target or potentially away from it, depending on your situation. This allowed me to defeat him and unlock the final research task. I was not looking forward to it, however, because you need 50 papers for the basic one, you need 75 scrolls, and then you need 100 schematics for the best things that the Twilight fan can hope for. Night 93. I was able to build my Anthonium, or whatever you call the kid Bella and Edward had together. And I researched a couple of blueprints, but with the overall terrible cost of crafting schematics, I knew I would need to travel to Silverlight Hills no matter what. On top of it, my iron and silver ore reserves were depleted. I was able to go to the market and purchase 2 books to research the merciless bow and whip, but when I decided to print my own money and go to purchase this fancy hat, which is when I discovered I have the option to change the color schemes on my armor. God damn it! I'm sometimes amazed at how dumb these discoveries of mine are. Night 94. I was forced to stay at the castle because I wanted to go fetch more silver. Now, do not get me wrong, I was contemplating going after another V carrier, but because I needed silver ore and I also needed worker blood, which I was cut off from because at nighttime my worker turns into goddamn Jacob, I was screwed. So at least I created Blood Merlot amulet and I processed a couple of supplies. Night 95, I was approaching the mines when I got distracted with some fishing, as I was able to pull out this ugly thing for the first time. But when I got inside the mines and I started to do my thing, especially surprised due to the blood type I was using, I was not able to acquire as much silver ore as previously. I mean, the first time I came here, I had over 2,000 silver ore, and now I had barely half of that. Day 95, I went to the vineyard as I wanted to gather as much as I can before I head back home. But with my terrible navigation, I turned into a very tight place with soldiers and harpies as I almost lost my horse again. Thankfully, no IKM meatballs, but I was not really able to do much in the vineyard because there was no shade. Night 96 was a blast from the past. So you recall by the time I got killed when the caravan showed up by the vineyard? Well, apparently it stayed there the whole time. I was shocked as much as you are. The cart was there, no escort however, as it was just sitting there. And because it was in such a high traffic spot, it was quite difficult to get the supplies out of it because the soldiers were moving around constantly. But I got 4 wine seeds out of it and a bunch of other rare stuff, so I was pretty happy. Night 97. Natka the Cursed Weaver. Yep, I decided to add another name to the long list. The fight is tricky as you will be turned into tasty bacon, but if you do...
Spider Pig, does whatever a Spider Pig does. Can he swing from a web? No, he can't. He's a pig. Look out, he is a spider pig.
You will be able to dodge the never-ending explosions and exploding mosquitoes. So now I can make more advanced looms and well, hopefully I can go raiding into Silverlight Hills or schematics. Night 98. I had few things to do. Minions were back from the raid, so that meant processing everything they brought back. And yeah, I had issues with the schedule. Plus, I was tired as hell. Month of May was absolutely catastrophic for me, so I barely did any work with the recording. So I decided to start making the advanced loom so I can process the final piece of fabric, so I can make the final level of armor for me. I discovered I do not have enough resources to give my minions rings and amulets, which would significantly increase their power, and so I sent them raiding again. Night 99, I went to the Gloomrot region in order to get my hands on more mutant grease and mechanical scrap. Now that I think about it, mutant grease sounds like something you would get if you would press a teenager with really bad acne against any sort of surface and just rub him against it. Anyhow, I decided to try the whip, and I got to say it's a really fun weapon, even going against one of my favorite V carriers with whom I would gladly end up in an HR office. Then I went to the pools of rebirth for more mutant sauce. Day 99. Well, Iron Maiden said it best. Run for the hills. In my case, I had to run for the castle because on the next night it would be Blood Moon. I swear to God, this doesn't make any sense. At least before it was like every 12 to 14 nights, but now I have no clue what rotation these things are happening at. So I was barely able to redistribute everything as I wanted to try and go for Dracula's realm and get more of those shards so I get passive abilities finally. Night 100. Well, in the true Idiot Savant fashion, I wanted to finish the episode with a raid, so I wanted to get those Stygian shards. But having zero fucking idea on how to do it actually meant that even despite my minions telling me that I need to unlock the jewelry flooring, I was not getting anywhere. So I found out that I need to build this thing called Eye of Mordium, which if you construct after you reach certain tier of your castle hoard, allows you to see what rifts are happening in the last region where Dracula resides. Unfortunately, with my luck, only tier 2 raids were happening, and they have a level requirement of 80 and above. So when I went to one of them, I got torn into shreds, and I had zero idea what to do with them while I was participating in trying to kill whatever was moving around. This was kind of annoying, as I could have instead go and kill another V carrier, but at least somehow in the spirit of the Castlevania DLC, I was showing you the units from that Netflix show. Unfortunately, whenever Belmont showed up, I tucked my tail between my legs and ran away. But hey, at least somehow I managed to create Godbrand from Netflix TV show. And so yeah, that's going to be it for 100 Days in Vrising, and I will hopefully be able to work on another focusing on the remaining carriers, getting the tech I'm missing, and converting Dracula himself into a diehard Twilight fan. Hopefully it won't take me another God knows how long to do it, but yeah, I do have a day job and I'm currently not making any money out of this, so yeah, a subscribe would go a long way. And hey, if you did like this one, check out the other 3 Vrising videos I did already, and yeah, go check out some of the playthroughs too. I do need the views after all, and I will see you in the comments or at the next one.